This is my best friend Jan, who just so happens to be the greatest Ural mechanic ever. We flew him across the world from a country called Moldova to fix this motorcycle right here. This is a Ural, a Soviet motorcycle known for being incredibly awesome to look at and also amazingly unreliable. And what makes Jan so good at what he does is he won't be fixing this bike using Ural parts. No, he will be rebuilding this entire motor using all Japanese and German internals, making this particular Ural the most reliable one in America. The catch? He's got 48 hours to make this thing run. Oh, and to make things worse, I will be assisting him. He also speaks zero English, other than the Dolph Lundgren quotes that we make him say every time we take him on.
I must break you.
And what's to be the fate of this beautiful motorcycle? Well, you might want to stick around to the end, because it might be yours. The body is mostly done and recently brought back from the paint shop, so most of the 48 hours will be spent rebuilding the motor and transmission, if that's even possible. And once that is done, if there's any time left, we need to dial this bike in and make sure everything's tuned and running properly. But the first thing we need to do is drain the oil and pull the boxer twin motor out of the frame. And if you're wondering who this guy is, well, that's Dmitry. He will be the translator for you, and for me, because I don't understand anything Jan says. Even though it only took 30 seconds for all this to happen in the video, it actually took a good half of the day. Then we took a short break for pizza, and then we got back to it. Even though Jan is the best ever at working on these bikes, I have to admit I was a little nervous. There was a lot to do in a little bit of time. Also, there was parts everywhere, and I mean everywhere and a lot of parts. And I have no idea how he knows where everything goes. So if there's any motorcycle out there that would be considered having a checkered past, it would be the Ural. I call it Ural. My Soviet-speaking friends call it Ural. And that is because it's stolen. They're all stolen. Every single one of them is stolen. Let me explain. During World War II, the Soviets purchased 5 BMW R71s for the purpose of reverse engineering them so they can make their own. However, if you talk to people from that side of the world, they'll tell you a completely different story. They'll tell you that the Soviets, when they took over one of the BMW plants, when they were fighting Germany, they took all the manufacturing equipment out of there and brought it back to Russia to try to remake the product. So what they did was they took the BMW R71, they reverse engineered it using significantly worse processes and basically no quality control, and they produced an entirely new motorcycle, calling it the M72, fooling everybody. No one was fooled. We know, everyone knows exactly what they did. They didn't even bother changing more than 1 decibel in the name and 1 letter. It's the same basic name. Dare I say, everything about these bikes are stolen.
Currently already in the process of taking apart the engine of the Ural, and we're gonna take it apart all the way to its little bits. We're gonna change everything in it. And it's gonna be a brand new engine basically when we're done. It's all going to be a combination of Polish, German, and Japanese parts. None of it's going to be internally Soviet anymore, so it's going to run.
And, so it's getting a visa or a green card.
Visa, green card. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be really interesting when we're putting it all back together. There are a lot of really interesting and key details and nuances when you're putting it all together that are key to having this whole thing work. Jan is heating up the rings on the piston, and he's going to take the piston off. These pistons he's going to completely replace because the old Soviet rings destroy the housing in the entire system, and he's going to put new pistons on, and they have too much play currently, and they just ground up everything around them. So right now he's heating up the rings so he can remove the old piston. That's what holds the entire piston in place. Really worn out. On a Soviet piston, there are 4 rings like this. Because they're so thick, they create so much friction and heat that it expands and contracts this entire cylinder too much and wears it out way too fast. And so he's going to put in new pistons with 3 rings. And they're really thin. The guarantee for those rings gives it a 250 kilometer distance guarantee through the manufacturer of the rings. So it extends the life of the cylinder by a significant amount. So the crankshaft is in good shape, but when we take the whole thing apart, we're going to check it. So he's deciding right now whether he's going to replace the crankshaft completely or not. Because the piston had a lot of give, crankshaft seems to be solid. And now we're taking apart the gearbox, and we're going to find out where all this oil is leaking from.
Да. Стоит у нас. Я держу.
All right.
Не, поднимай чуть-чуть. Вот так.
There we go. These are some of the most important parts of this engine. So that's the gear for the crankshaft, and this gear controls how the pistons open up essentially, so it's like an input-output kind of situation. What he's checking for is how loose the gears are right there, and there is a little wear and tear. So when the engine's working, you're gonna hear a ringing, and they have to be a specific number, and the number on the engine dictates what kind of gear goes on this engine so that the teeth of the gears match. So we're gonna take all that apart, put in brand new parts.
Все.
So it took another 2.5 hours for us, and when I say us, I mean Jan, to get the motor and trans completely disassembled. And now we're ready for phase number 2. And this is where we clean everything. And in this phase, I got to help a little bit. All right, so Jan just told me he needs a parts cleaner to clean that crank off. It's really gross. I borrowed this bin from Billy next door. This is diesel fuel, is just pretty much the same as kerosene, and that'll be just as good for cleaning. That's what they use for a parts cleaner. So let's go find some diesel fuel, and then we gotta find some brushes. You don't put the crank back in if it's all dirty and gross and has dirt and stuff in it. We'll take the mini truck. So I jumped in the mini truck and grabbed some brushes and some diesel fuel at the store, and then I was ready to try and help Jan. Hopefully this works out for Jan. My friend Jan, my best friend Jan. Yeah.
Mellow.
Thank you very much.
Look at brushes.
Супер. Можно я еще приду в твое ателье? Ты очень любезный и гостеприимный.
He's like, can I come back to your shop at some point? He's like, you're very kind and generous.
Yeah, heck yeah. You come whenever you want. We'll hang out. We'll have a great time.
We'll take you up on that offer, I think.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Yeah, for sure. Jan, look at all this dirt coming out of here. Look at all that stuff just coming out of there. What do you think? Do I keep on going? Do I try to make it look brand new?
Все нормально уже, да?
Да.
Yeah, he thinks it's all right.
So while BMW continued to improve and build very high quality motorcycles throughout the decade, the Soviets continued making the Ural. The same one. No. The exact same one. We're talking half of a century without ever changing anything on it. The quality control on these bikes were so bad that if you bought 15 of these things brand new from the factory and tried to drive them home, you'd be lucky if 3 or 4 actually made it. Like, you'd be really lucky if 3 or 4 actually made it. And when you took them apart to fix them and see what was wrong with it, it was not uncommon that you would find an extremely important part missing on the bike. In some extreme examples, they might have been missing one of the 2 pistons. But this is still the best motorcycle ever to come out of the Soviet Union. People loved them. And what they realized was that if you bought one of these, all you had to do was tear the whole thing apart, put it back the proper way, tightening all the bolts and everything like that. And if you did that, it would actually be a pretty reliable bike. Not as reliable as if it was a BMW because of the way they made them, but significantly more reliable than what we think of Urals are. So we spent the next few hours cleaning everything, and Jan stayed super late to make sure that we were ready to start assembling things tomorrow. He even wrapped up some parts and put them in the freezer. And that was the end of day 1. Hopefully we'll be able to get this whole thing wrapped up tomorrow. Now we're on to step 3, and that is the reassembly phase. Hopefully we don't have any issues with this phase. We found no major defects during the cleaning process, and Jan brought a lot of parts with him, including a bunch of parts that we got from Partzilla. If this all goes well, we should be firing this thing up very, very soon.
Later we're going to install the pistons and the settings for them. It's a really crucial moment, so everything's synced up, and it's really important to put them in correctly. And there's an art to that. All the timing, everything. No hammer. Это не сработает, да? Просто так лупить.
Вот этот твой инструмент очень хороший.
He actually likes this instrument. He'd be surprised at how ninja he can get with hammering things, but yeah, you have to be very precise. He's really happy working in your shop. He likes your tools.
All right.
But now that you're helping, I think things might get even better. He's giving you a really important job right now.
All right.
Now you have to put this wire through all 4 of these bolts, basically like a zip tie.
All right. Let's run to the next one.
Yep.
Okay.
This is really good wire because it's stainless steel. It's better than the Soviet original version. Because it came off the factory this way, we're trying to put everything back the way it was so that everything just locks in together. We're not modifying anything.
Супер.
That's all right, right there?
Да? Супер. Супер.
He's like an operating table.
Я твой ассистент.
He's your operation assistant.
Молодец, товарищ доктор.
I'm gonna tighten that up a little bit.
Very well, doctor.
Scalpel.
Yes.
So we're heating it up till it may expand so the bearing will fit in there.
The way they made these at the factory is that they have a form in the ground and then they just pour the aluminum in it.
Really?
Like really old school, yeah.
Да.
And then it forms and they all have defects. They made them like that for 70 years.
So I guess they can't be that bad. We're in?
It's really
Да.
old school.
Супер.
So before I tell you about the one good thing that the Soviets did, and I hate that that phrase comes out of my mouth, I have to tell you why it's called the Ural in the first place. So like most off-road vehicles of our time, we like to name things after rugged locations. And so did the Soviets. It was named after the Ural mountains that are located between Soviet Union or current day Russia and Asia. So the thing that they did that I think was good, maybe even great, was that the original BMW R71 was a one-wheel drive, just like a normal motorcycle with a sidecar. But what the Soviets did was they turned it into a two-wheel drive, putting a shaft drive from the motor of the Ural to the wheel on the sidecar, making it two-wheel drive, which really made this thing, man, really close to being unstoppable. They claim it was just as off-road capable as a Willys Jeep. And from my own personal experience, not with this bike, but with another bike, they're pretty right. Which is different than the Cristini being two-wheel drive, because the Cristini only has two-wheel drives, and that's the front drive and the back drive. This is two-wheel drive in the sense that this is a different type of two-wheel drive. Now, like we said earlier, this is a Soviet-era motorcycle, and a legit piece of world and motorcycle history. Now, let's be clear, this is not a political statement. In fact, this particular Ural came from Ukraine. We are not glorifying Soviet engineering, but exposing how poorly it was made and how it was stolen, and turning it into something really cool and reliable. No matter what side you are on the political debate, we are told to take care of orphans. The children without parents are not the ones causing these issues. The next step was to take these bolts that pulls the camshaft out, which proved to be pretty tricky because the heads were stripped. Luckily, Jan is an expert and has a really cool impact hammer that was able to get these things out.
Сильнее. Только один удар.
Just one hard hit. You can
One
go.
big hit.
Да. Все.
Good.
Все.
This guy must trust me. Don't tell him.
That's
Don't
it?
tell him. Don't tell him. So now we're just moving the crank so we can get access to the cylinder. All right, guys, hold on to your helmets because we have some big news. So you know we're tearing down this old Soviet-era Ural and we're building this engine with Japanese and BMW parts. It reminds me that having the right parts and tools for a build like this means everything. And that's why I'm excited to announce that Bikes and Beards has teamed up with Partzilla to be our official summer sponsor. Partzilla is hooking us up with all the gear and all the supplies and things we need to make this crazy engine mashup come to life. From high quality OEM parts to awesome aftermarket goodies, they've got it all. Whether it's for your motorcycle or your side-by-side or everything in between. And here's the kicker. They're not just helping us out, but they are stepping up for you guys, our loyal fans. Together, we are launching the Partzilla Superfan giveaway. So for every Bikes and Beards and SRK Cycles video that we make this summer, we're gonna choose one of you guys and hook you guys up with the parts that you need to help you wrap up your build. So here's how it works. Step one, click on the Partzilla link in the description of this video to check out their massive inventory and find the part that your bike has been begging for. Step number two, send an email to giveaway@bikesandbeards.com and send us a brief description of what part you need, the part number, and a quick story about you, your ride, and your project to make it epic. Step three, keep watching the videos because at the end of every episode, we're gonna be shouting out a new Superfans winner for the entire summer long. So get those emails in, check out Partzilla, and let's keep on wrenching on this Ural.
So after he dials these in, I'm just gonna prep the cylinders. And these are German rings that are gonna go around the piston. They're from a car. So he's fitting them in this way first to see the sizing of it, sets it, and so we have to get that measurement. So the gap in the ring has to be 0.04.
So what if it's too tight?
This is the original piston with the rings.
Очень большая разница.
Really big difference.
Oh, wow.
The thicker the ring, the more friction and the faster the heat gets spread out through the cylinder. And the faster it heats up, the more wear and tear you get.
Ask him how he learned all this stuff. Don't say from reading.
When I was just a little boy, I remember sneaking into my father's garage. He always had a motorcycle in there, you see, because my dad had been riding motorcycles his entire life. So I managed to pull this particular motorcycle out of the garage. But it wasn't that simple, because besides just gasoline, you quickly learn you also need a good carburetor and a strong ignition system. I dragged and pushed that motorcycle all over the village, trying everything I could, but it just never started. And ever since that day, I've been completely hooked. I haven't stopped. As I was growing up, I actually owned and rode quite a few different types of motorcycles, but eventually I really settled on the Ural model, primarily because it's just such high quality machinery, truly superior to most of the other models that were produced back in the Soviet Union. At its very core is essentially a direct copy of a BMW. These bikes carry a significant piece of that original BMW engineering and spirit within them. And that unique blend of history and engineering is precisely why I find so much passion and satisfaction in restoring these Ural motorcycles.
But he said there is a huge
Потому что ты
difference
это любишь.
when you do this for money and when you do this because you love it. That's a big difference in results. And
That's what the best builder would say.
Да.
All right, what's next?
Right, что следует?
Installing that piston.
Будем ставить, да.
Yes.
So I met Jan the first time about a year ago. He came in with Sergey, and he came to work on this motorcycle. He tried to rebuild the whole thing in Sergey's garage with like a hammer and a wrench. We quickly found out that it needed more stuff than what we had available here. So we flew him back over here to finish it up. Now what I knew about Jan was that he ran an orphanage and he worked on Urals as a hobby, and he got pretty good at it. What I was unaware of was that Jan was a very highly ranked police officer in Moldova, and went to school and got his law degree, and runs multiple ministries at his home in Moldova, including the orphanage. Moldova is the poorest of all the Soviet countries and is the #1 source of human trafficking, and has a really big issue with the parents abandoning their kids, and has a huge need to help orphans over there. Jan himself has 3 children and 4 adopted kids. He's got a very small shop, probably about 10 by 12 foot shop, where he teaches his kids and the orphanage kids how to work on and rebuild motorcycles.
We currently support 420 children, with a significant 75% of them being foster children. We live in a village called Bolțata. In this village, a specialized center has been constructed, featuring several family-style homes. These homes are specifically designed to house families who provide care and a loving environment for foster children, ensuring they have a stable place to grow up so that these precious children can finally have a real family. We took them in, and for the past 8 years, we've been raising them, giving them a real home and everything they could possibly need.
I was having the best time learning all this awesome stuff with Jan, but to be honest with you, I was feeling like I wasn't that useful. So I decided to do the only thing that I know that Americans can do when they want to step it up to the next level, and that is train on someone else's turf. Rocky IV style. Why am I cutting wood? I'm wearing a jacket. It's like 80 degrees here. Why am I wearing a jacket? So this motorcycle is owned by my friend Sergey. You remember Sergey from the Flood Harley video. So Sergey decided that once we were done to offer this bike to one of you, chosen randomly through a sweepstakes to benefit the work of Mission Eurasia, which he leads. The goal is to help Jan build a new motorcycle workshop in Moldova, where he teaches the children how to work on motorcycles, and he uses the shop to fix motorcycles to help support his ministry. Currently, his shop is like 10 by 12. So here's how it works. Everyone who donates during the sweepstake period will be entered in to win the Ural motorcycle. Even the smallest amount is extremely helpful. And if you donate $40 or more, you will not only be able to get entered in to win the Ural, you also receive a gift from us and one moto spray package. This is a great opportunity to help support Jan and his ministry. So go to the link in the description or click on this QR code here, and there you'll find the full sweepstakes rules and instructions on how to enter. Also, you'll find information on the website about how no donation is necessary to enter. All of this is explained on the website, not my personal website, but the one that's on this QR code and the link in the description. Also here at Bikes and Beards, we'll be doing a match. So if you donate $100, they get $200. We're gonna do a match up to $32,000. But we gotta get this thing running before we can give it away. Let's go work on that. We are putting the cylinder on top of the piston. It's a very tight fit, and this is how it's supposed to be. But you gotta compress all the rings to get the cylinder on top. So normally if you were hammering it in like a V8 engine or something like that, you would put a sleeve that goes on top of it and then just it hammers right in. We can't do that because of the boxer engine. So I guess he just kind of manipulates it with his fingers.
He says it's one of the most difficult parts to do. The feel with this, he had to take his gloves off because it's like literally all feel.
Yeah, and your gloves would pinch your gloves.
It's definitely finesse, yes. He said, typically in this process, you cut your fingers.
Nice.
Nice. Nice.
Almost there, and no cuts. Told you he's the best.
There we go. He said the kids that he works with started watching your channel, and you're like a big example and a good influence on them so far.
Oh, that's awesome. And this looks perfect, right?
It's very important. И это как хорошо сейчас, да?
Да, сейчас хорошо.
Yeah, this is good.
Really good.
He was worried about it. He didn't tell you until it worked out, but he was worried about it.
And all this motorcycle working on reminds me of one of my favorite Bible verses, James 1:27. Religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their affliction and keep oneself unstained from the world.
You know, знаете что это?
Do you know what that is?
I know what that is. So Jan continued working, getting everything put together until it was finally time to put the engine back in. And that I could definitely help with. All right, so the motor is done and we're ready to put it back in the thing. Hopefully my training paid off. All right, what's the game plan?
We're gonna install the engine and we're gonna put it in at an angle like this, lower it, and then push it up.
Got it.
So pick it up.
Сначала вперед.
Forward.
Шумно я держу.
All right, he said he's got it.
All right.
Не торопись, вытащи обратно.
Pull it out a
Сначала
little
я.
bit. Pick it up.
Вот так.
And angle
There
it
we
down.
go.
Вот так. Все.
There we go.
Lowering it.
Thank you very much.
And it's in. Now we just gotta strap it in.
So we got most of this thing put together and we were getting really close to firing this thing up. But before we did that, we had a surprise for Jan. You see, earlier during lunch, he told me that one of the dream bikes that he would love to ride, that he's never had a chance to and probably will never get the chance to in Moldova, was a bike that I happen to own. So let's see if Jan wants to ride it. We got a helmet for you that you can take back home.
Они вам дают шлем, и это вам подарок, который вы можете с собой нести обратно в Молдавию.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, bravo. Super.
That's dope. Matte black.
Our buddy Billy Lane, he's been tuning this for us, and he set it up where he can kickstart it with his hand. It got really easy to start. Do it again.
You got it.
He figured it out. He runs into both bikes. Nah, he knows how to stop.
Super.
You like it?
Now that's the oldest bike he's ever ridden.
It's a
Oldest bike you've ever ridden.
Ты замечательный человек.
So you're an amazing person.
Nah, man, nah.
Такие эмоции не передать.
I can't convey the emotions.
Супер.
He feels like he's 18 again.
Tell him don't take off his helmet yet.
He needs to take that on the road. He needs to ride with Sergey, you know what I mean? And actually go out and, hit some corners and stuff like that,
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
He deserves this kind of treatment.
No, he does. Yeah, he does. We don't deserve friends like you is what we don't deserve. Jan, do these fit? Try those on. Those are my gloves. And then those are my personal gloves. Of that color, we only made 100 pairs of those. This and this is Kevlar, bulletproof.
Yeah.
You can have those gloves.
Don't bother.
I got another pair just like it, but those are the best gloves. Best gloves you ever find. So we got gas in it, we got oil in it, it's 95% buttoned up. It's getting late. I want to ride this thing and I want to see if it runs. We don't actually know if it runs. He put it all together. Man, I don't know. I'm sure he does. He's blowing on a thing. Jan, how many kicks you thinking?
He's saying, how about, maybe, he thinks maybe like two, like one of his and one of yours maybe.
One of his, one of mine. All right, he's getting 2 kicks. Check this out. One of his buddies made the interior for this. This is awesome. This feels so good. And then check it out, it's got a secret compartment in here. Hinges up.
Open that again.
Nicest seat I've ever seen. Also, he made the entire wiring harness. Redid the whole harness. Here's the old harness. It's all been replaced. Everything that's unreliable is now reliable. We got fuel. All right, primer kick. You can see the valves doing their thing.
Super.
That's awesome. So now we were ready for the first ride of this bike, and I can't wait. This is gonna be awesome. And just a reminder, we are giving this thing away. Go to the link in the description or click on this QR code here, and there you'll find the full sweepstakes rules and instructions on how to enter. We finally got to take this bike out and it was great. I'm so excited for whoever gets this thing next. And even though me and Jan don't speak the same language, we still speak the same vernacular, and that is motorcycles.
My sincere hope is that this Ural motorcycle will indeed fall into the very best hands, going to an individual who, the moment they lay their hands on it, will truly grasp and feel the essence of the incredible work being done through this ministry for these precious children. I am completely convinced that the earnest prayers of these children will follow this motorcycle just like angels wherever it goes. We all know and believe that God truly is the father and protector of all orphans, and it's a fundamental truth that God always repays what is given to him. I've personally witnessed countless times how, when people extend a helping hand to orphans or even just offer prayers for them, God unfailingly bestows his blessings upon them. It is my sincere hope and belief that through this very motorcycle, whoever ultimately receives it, they and their entire family will be abundantly blessed.